8 students are completing in a 200-meter race. You've got medals for first, second, and third. How many different ways could you give out those medals? How many different ways can the students finish first, second, and third? Well, there's decisions to be made. We've got a space for our first decision, a space for our second decision, and a space for our third decision. Who's going to finish first? Who's going to finish second? Who's going to finish third? So we can solve this question using our fundamental counting principle from before. How many choices do you have for finishing first? Could be any of the 8. Then 7, then 6. So we could use the spaces, but the textbook right before this wants to introduce you to a new formula that you could use as well. So if you go back right before this question, they have the formula for permutations of number of distinct objects taken R at a time. And the notation is NPR. So what this formula says, in our example, we have 8 people running a race, and we want to choose to place 3 of them in order. So according to the formula, and I'll go back to our question, according to the formula, we could say this same answer is 8p3. What is the answer to this? 336? Okay. Now what the 8p3 formula says, because on your formula sheet you're going to have NPR equals n factorial over n minus r factorial. That's the formula for a number of permutations taken R at a time. We would write this formula out as 8 factorial over 8 minus 3 factorial, which is the same as 8 factorial over 5 factorial. And if we use the definition of factorial, well, 8 factorial is 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And 5 factorial is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And what happens to a bunch of the things? They all cancel out. And you just get 8 times 7 times 6, which is the same as what we could do with our spaces. But there is a formula for it as well. So now I need you to figure out how would you type this into your calculator. So if you go to your calculator, and the same place that you found your factorial button, if you push 8 first, and then go math over to probability, the second one is NPR. You push that, it puts the first number in 8p5. Oops, it was 8p3. 8p3, 336. Yeah, and you might have an older version where it says 8 NPR 3, and that is perfectly fine as well. The N might stay. If you have an older version, you write 8, and then it goes NPR, and then you write 3, and it still works. Okay, questions for practice on this one? 4, 6, 7, and 8.